The views of the guest are that of the guests and do not represent nor reflect the views and opinions of the Lockoutmen channel, the Recruiter Call channel, nor its host. This site content is for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only.
Drivers, imagine being stranded miles away from where you need to be with no help from your employer and no answers to your calls. What do you do in a situation like this? Well, for Miss E. Berry on TikTok, guys, go over there and check out Miss E. Berry. Make sure you let her know that Lockout Men sent you. The answer for her was simple. Take matters into her own hands. This story right here is about a rogue decision. It's also a reflection of a company of indifference and personal boundaries and the struggles that is heard throughout this industry by many drivers. Let's talk about it.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for listening. To understand this story that we about to get into, we need a little bit of context, right? So the company we're talking about is Western Express, a second chance semi-black ops company. They're no strangers to controversy. Stories of mismanagement, poor communication, and unhappy drivers aren't new with this company. But this situation takes it up a notch. Imagine being a trainee driver, trying to get home only to find that your employer not only disregards your request, but actively routes you hours away from your destination. This is the story of Miss E. Berry and how she hijacked a Western Express truck. When Miss E. Berry requested to be routed home, the company seemingly ignored her. Instead, they sent the trainer that she was up under a route far from her home, despite them being hours away from their final destination. Let's think about this for a moment. A trainee relying on their company is essentially abandoned. What do you do when your employer ignores you and your only options are to comply? Or do you take control of the situation? Take control she did. After stopping at a truck stop, her trainer had to go and rest. So rest in the back he did. While he was resting, she did something bold. She took control and drove 4 hours off route back to Atlanta, ignoring the messages from dispatch, and eventually made it home to the A.
So I have a story time on how I basically hijacked the truck from Western Express so I come home this weekend. Basically, to make long story short, they wasn't trying to let me come home. They kept ignoring all my messages. They had my trainer routed to Alabama. They told him to drop me off in the first part of Georgia, which was Valdez, Georgia. That's 4 hours away from Atlanta. So I guess they just wanted him to kick me off, and yeah, that wasn't happening. So me and him stopped at the truck stop out there. I told him to go in the back and go to sleep, and I'll get to where I gotta get to. And that's pretty much what happened. He went to sleep. I drove to Atlanta. They kept sending me messages on the tablet saying I was off route. At that point, I didn't care. I just kept going. No one ever called. And at the end, me getting to where I needed to get to, I sent them a message and let them know that my trainer was completely asleep. You guys ignored me. You guys didn't answer my phone calls. You guys didn't even call. I was off route for 4 hours. And I drove myself to Atlanta and have a nice life. And I got off the truck and came home for the weekend.
That's not a decision that Miss E. Berry had made. That's a statement, bro. Let me stop the show for a second. That's a big statement she made. She said, you ain't gonna heal me up here. You ain't gonna leave me 4 hours away from the house after I've been asking you guys to get me home. Y'all gonna drop me 4 hours outside of Atlanta. Why not just take me to Atlanta? So, you guys want to know the company's reactions? Silence. It was crazy. Despite multiple calls to her, letting her know that she was off route, she ignored them. Every last one of them. She was like, I don't want to hear it. I know I'm off route. You want to know why I'm off route? Because I'm heading home. That's why I'm off route. We heading to the A, baby. This raised an important question of how much responsibility does the company bear in this situation versus her taking action. This is a deeper issue right here on how drivers are being treated at some of these companies. It's a reflection of the issues in the trucking industry.
This trucking shit is not for the weak. And this company that I work for, Western Express, they got me so fucked up. I have been out on the road for them since July 2nd, my birthday. I came out on the road on July 2nd to start my training with them. Really, if I'm being completely honest, I started my training back on like June 16th or something of that nature. They give me a DOT card for exactly 1 week pending a sleeping test. But then they put me on a truck that weekend. I did orientation on Tuesday. That Friday, they put me on a truck. That Monday, they kicked me off the truck. I have to pay $500 for a sleeping test to work for their company. I get the sleeping test. I pass the sleeping test to be able to come on the road. I get on the road July 2nd, and
especially when it comes from blackout companies and companies that just don't care about you. Drivers feeling unheard, undervalued, and overworked. Western Express may be the company in this instance, but there's many other companies in similar ways. How many drivers out there right now dealing with the situation of frustration without the boldness to act? And what does it say about the companies that rely so heavily on its workforce, but seamlessly prioritize profits over people? Drivers. At its core, this story is about more than just one bold move by Miss E. Berry. It's about standing up when you feel powerless, and that's exactly what she did. It's about asking a question that many of us is afraid to ask. What would you do in that situation? So I'm going to just leave this right here. Would you wait knowing that you might be ignored? Or would you be like Miss E. Berry here and take control, even if it meant breaking the rules or getting terminated? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Until next time, everybody.